Go on.
This is why I'm so intrigued by and disgusted with etymology.
Yeah.
Because it's nonsense.
All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Learning Stuff with Nick and Jeff. I am Nick, and this is Jeff, and we are going to learn you some stuff. Jeff, how are you feeling this afternoon?
Feeling good. Love the welcome this evening intro there. You know, it's because who knows what time of day it is, right? Could be any time, literally. You can listen to this. So
I guess I have to publish this on an evening.
Yeah, that should be the new plan going forward.
I've really just boxed myself in.
We've got a little bit of room to work, so I don't think it should be a huge problem. Doing well, though. How about yourself?
Oh, man, I'm excited. I had an abrupt change of topic over the course of today. So
Why?
I thought I knew what I was going to talk about, and then we went to the botanical gardens.
Okay.
And I read an informational placard that just stunned me. I was like, wait a minute. And so that's what I've been looking into. I was baffled by everything that I read on it, and I looked into it, and it's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, I love that story. I mean, I think I'm just super curious to hear what the new topic is, and I guess you probably won't share the old one just yet, but
I'll archive that one.
Yeah,
keep that one in the wings for some other time.
Just in case. You never know when you'll need it, right? So I'll go ahead and discuss our quick beer of the day here.
Yes, of course.
So this is it's called the Ultra Nar IPA. It's from Base Camp. I was actually in Portland not too long ago. Snagged a 6-pack. Didn't taste it while I was there. Grabbed it, threw it on the plane. It's been waiting for this, but I'll tell you, it does feature 6 different Oregon-grown flavor and aroma hop varieties. So this thing is absolutely 100% Oregon. And when I say it's a microbrewery, this place is tiny.
Tiny, like small building, or tiny, like they only make how of the total amount of beer did you get like 15% of it?
Let me tell you, tiny was the size of the building.
Okay.
Portland is crazy because they have so many craft breweries that it's insane. Literally, you could spend an entire trip drinking at the different bars and craft breweries. There was one bar and it had 99 taps, I think.
Wow.
It was just nuts. It was nuts because they had a tap takeover, and this, I think it was 15 Blocks or Block 15 Brewing. And that brewing company had 35 or 40 different beers on tap just of their own. I don't even know another brewery that makes that many different varieties. I think some of them were barrel aged and slight variations, but still, I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, well, you can definitely tell that there are a lot of different flowers in this. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I know just enough to get into trouble about is like when you add the hops for it's like how bitter versus how aromatic and stuff like that. So I can't comment intelligently. But it tastes like they did both.
I think so, yeah. You're probably right. They probably added some hops earlier, maybe did some dry hopping after the boil. Absolutely, Nick. I love it. You've got the terminology just right.
Hops early and late in the process.
Yeah, it's tasty, though. It's got a nice, it's refreshing. It's probably better than any of the beers that I had while I was in person.
So, what did you learn about? What are we going to learn about?
I think we should I think your turn to go first here. I think I went first last time.
All right, dealio. So, my initial topic, which shall remain nameless for the time being, was supplanted when inside the botanical gardens, we went in, we were in the orchid exhibit, and there's a huge thing about vanilla.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So when you hear vanilla, and you like, vanilla ice cream or whatever, what's like the second word that you think of? It's like vanilla.
Ice.
Of course. Stop, collaborate, and listen.
I mean, look, if you get into a Ninja Turtles movie and sing a Ninja Turtles rap song, I mean, that's forever cemented in my brain.
Oh, for sure. Oh, man, I forgot about the ninja rap.
Yes, ninja rap.
We
absolutely.
practice ninja, the art of invisibility.
I'm not sure that was what you're going for, though.
No, well, because I didn't know that's what I needed when I asked the question. But it turns out that vanilla is not a bean at all.
Liars.
Everyone's
liars.
It turns out that, so there, the vanilla bean, right? Vanilla bean ice cream and all that stuff. It's actually, the vanilla plant is a fruit. Sorry, it's an orchid. And the vanilla pod is a fruit. And so the process for making sure that you can actually get the vanilla requires stuff like pollination. It's incredibly labor intensive to cultivate vanilla. And this was the rabbit hole, right? This is where it started. It's like, wait a minute, vanilla's an orchid. Wait a minute, it's a fruit. Wait a minute, you have to hand pollinate this stuff because the place where it's growing. Yeah, that face. That's the face I made. You have to you would tell me that hand pollination is the thing that makes the most sense, and it's grown in a couple different countries now. Madagascar produces a lot of vanilla, for example, but that's not where it's natively from, and so all the natural pollinators aren't there.
Well, that's interesting. Where is it naturally from?
It's naturally from Central America.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. So there's where they're growing it now. That's when they have to hand pollinate it. They can't just throw some beehives in the back of a truck and drive it around.
Great question. That came up as well. It turns out you could if you didn't need pesticides. Like lice in particular seems to be a problem, and so it has a tendency to get very heavily insecticided. And if you do that, the honeybee folks are not going to let you use their honeybees because, poison. Primarily.
I got it now. That makes sense.
Yeah. But back to hand pollination for just a second. The person who discovered that you can pollinate it by hand, 12 years old.
Oh, okay.
Right?
All right, that is a little surprising.
Yeah. It was originally, like vanilla's originally from Central America. That was Charles Francois Antoine Morin. Your pronunciation may vary depending on how you...
That's not real French, man.
Yeah. And so this Belgian botanist came up with a way to like artificially pollinate the plant, but it didn't make financial sense to do it. So then in 1841, a couple years later, Edmund Albius, who is a 12-year-old slave
Okay.
On the French island of, I can't believe the name of the island is Reunion.
Oh.
But there's an l'accent grave on the E, so I don't know how that changes pronunciation. Réunion, perhaps mangrove, in the Indian Ocean. So it's a French island in the Indian Ocean. You can hand pollinate it. You can basically pollinate the plant with itself as long as the flower has bloomed. And then the vanilla pod, the vanilla fruit comes out, and inside that is where your vanilla is. But what's even crazier about all of this is that most of the vanilla that we eat isn't even vanilla. It's vanillin.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
More lies?
It's we figured out a way to, that's like synthetic vanilla. And so if you want, when people advertise like, like real vanilla bean ice cream, what they're talking about is like vanilla from plants, not vanillin. The much easier to come by, much easier to source. And it's one source of flavor out of about 130 flavors that are inside a vanilla pod itself. This is the one that's the most vanilla-y. And what's crazy is a lot of people have a hard time telling the difference after it's been used. So, it's a flavor in cookies, for example. Turns out really well-made artificial vanilla tastes better to a lot of people than real vanilla.
I don't know why that's not shocking to me
I know,
anymore. I don't know. It's sad.
But it turns out real vanilla is better, and people can tell the difference when you're talking about like cakes or stuff that doesn't require a lot. Doesn't necessarily require a lot of heat, but you would still use vanilla.
Well, it's gotta be better for you.
I would certainly hope so.
That would be my guess.
The entire name of vanilla is really just the original Spanish word that is basically little pod, because when folks first saw it, it's like, it's just like a little, it's like a little pod.
Okay, yeah, no, that adds up.
Inside it is the flavor. What is your favorite vanilla good?
That is a tough question. I'm a huge vanilla ice cream fan, especially when it's on top of a chocolate chip cookie. So if I was going to use it, it would be to make like a fresh, homemade vanilla bean ice cream. Oof, that sounds so good. So buttery and smooth, and then on top of a fresh baked chocolate chip cookie right out of the oven. It's still melty and gooey on the inside. Oh my goodness. I'm like, yeah. That is literally my favorite dessert. Maybe a little caramel drizzle on top.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I'm just literally stealing a dessert from a restaurant called Bricktops, which have my favorite dessert.
Is it vanilla ice cream on a chocolate chip cookie?
Yes,
caramel
it's
drizzle.
So good. What about yourself?
So, I used to always think like, vanilla is just the frenemy of chocolate. I always assumed they had an adversarial relationship until later on. I feel like I matured a little bit, and I was like, actually, these complement each other very well. And then when I discovered you could put like vanilla ice cream in a glass of root beer, make a root beer float, game changer.
Yeah, it is. It is a game changer. Don't try it with frozen yogurt, though. I'll tell you, the frozen yogurt does not hold up inside of a soda. But the problem is, I'm not talking trash here on vanilla, but it's funny because they really use the term vanilla to describe things that are plain and boring.
Oh, for sure.
Right? No one ever wants to be described as vanilla.
Yeah, a lot of times it's used to describe the first version of something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's plain, right? Tasteless, flavorless. That's not the case. Obviously, we both know that this beautiful fruit has such depth of flavor.
So vanilla is extremely labor intensive. Right? Hand pollination, people have to go out there and look at it because you have to wait till the flower blooms and then you have to do it with like a Q-tip.
Okay.
A non-denominational cotton swab of some kind. Or bamboo. That was the original thing, was a beveled piece of bamboo. You could just move the pollen.
I was kind of wondering how they were artificially inseminating these plants.
Yeah, bamboo, it turns out.
That sounds sharp.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable.
I mean, it was the late 1800s. It was a darker time.
I guess everybody was getting artificially inseminated with bamboo then.
Just a hollow bamboo straw.
Ugh, just blowing it right in.
But because it's so labor intensive, its price per kilogram has fluctuated a huge amount. And I want to hit a couple of high points. Between a cyclone, political instability, and poor weather, vanilla prices went to an astonishing $500 per kilogram in 2004. So here's to just give you a sense of the range where it can vary. Imitation vanilla took off because real vanilla was so expensive, and it pushed the market of real vanilla all the way down to $40 a kilogram.
Okay.
And so, but then there was another cyclone. Cyclone Enowo.
Right. Yeah,
caused a similar spike all the way back up to $500. $500 a kilogram as recently as 2017. So and that's according to the Toronto Star.
Huh?
The Toronto Star. There was the name of the article is "Eager Bakers May Face a Cake Crisis as Vanilla Supply Evaporates." 2017.
Yikes! I wonder how they did.
There was a lot more chocolate cake, I would guess. Just
Hey,
a lot more.
I mean, I think that's a win.
Yeah.
Again, nothing against vanilla, but it's like the vanilla of flavors.
It really is. In the same way that gold is kind of the gold standard of
It is.
metals. So yeah. So the TLDR version, vanilla, not a bean, despite what you'll read.
Lies.
It's a fruit. It's an orchid, pollinated by hand by a 12-year-old at the end of the 1800s, and that's how we still do it. We haven't come up with a better way.
How could you? I mean,
It requires so much attention and focus that a person must go through every day because the flower only blooms for a day or two, and if you miss your window, you miss it.
Dang.
And the pollination is required to get the vanilla out of it.
Huh. And
Yeah.
you got to get the super long cotton swabs. No, I don't know. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, or
Sticks.
bamboo sticks, depending
Oh, yeah.
depending on when you're trying to do it.
Yeah.
A lot of it comes from Madagascar, but it all sort of originated. It came to Europe through the conquistadors in the 15th century. Yeah, man, vanilla. There's so much more. I've only scratched the surface. But if you find your interest piqued in vanilla, dig in. There's a lot more than you might expect. I haven't even talked about the other stuff that came from it because hand pollination and horticulture continue to move forward, partially as a result because of the stuff that was discovered through the husbandry of vanilla.
Wow. It's pretty crazy where these things come from. It's so rare that you ever sit down and take a minute to think about the depth of history behind something as unassuming as vanilla.
As vanilla.
Right.
As vanilla. Yeah, no,
Literally,
exactly.
you cannot get more vanilla.
Than vanilla.
Yeah,
it's exactly what it is.
It's also crazy that it's got an interesting story. I mean, the whole piece about a 12-year-old slave discovering this. Now, I'm guessing he didn't get credit for it at the time, unfortunately. I mean, it's just wild how a child, essentially, probably without any real education, might have even helped that he had no education because he saw something obvious that no one else did.
Right.
That's interesting, though. That's very interesting. I am curious what your first topic was, but...
Oh, yeah.
But vanilla was unexpected.
It captured my imagination as soon as I read that it wasn't... Because I was so taken aback by it not being a bean. And it's so... Like, the name on the placard, right? The title of the placard was The Bean That's Not a Bean.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I wonder what this is talking about. And it's like, vanilla. It's like, oh,
Okay,
so
the bean that's not a bean. We got peanuts, the nut that's not really a nut.
Right.
It's just like, yeah, make up your minds.
What is it? What are we talking about?
Yeah, a legume. Okay, give me a break. We got fruits that are vegetables, vegetables that are fruit. I can't keep track.
I almost forgot. Vanilla is the second most expensive spice.
Whoa, shit. Well, what's the first one?
Saffron.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently, saffron is the most expensive.
Well, for some reason, I am not at all surprised by that.
No, saffron's kind of notorious. At least that legend has held up.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into it, though, so who knows?
And something tells me that whenever I'm eating something that's supposed to be saffron, it's fake saffron.
Oh, if you can't figure out a way to counterfeit saffron.
Oh, someone's done it.
I'm sure someone's done it. Yeah, I'm sure someone's done it.
And what about this whole fake meat industry that we've got going on?
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little off topic here, but you've heard about this with the fish, where they're taking these different fish and pretending that they're nicer cuts of fish, nicer types.
I have not heard about this.
So they're basically selling one fish as if it were tuna for sushi purposes, right?
Okay.
Or a nicer, like a yellow tail. They're taking garbage fish and bundling them as if they're these nicer fish and selling them to unassuming consumers, mostly Americans, because we're dumb and we don't know what sushi tastes like.
Huh. Mm-hmm. If any of that has ended up on the table at Roussan's, I'm going to freak out.
There's a problem. We just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know that I would know.
I'm not a sushi expert. I like sushi. I eat it. But if you blindfolded me and gave me 8 different similar rolls, no clue.
Yeah, like this one tastes like it's made out of fish.
Yeah, this one also tastes, it's raw, I think.
And rice. That's sticky. I want to say sticky rice.
Yes, it could be stickier.
Definitely could be. I want to say potentially counterfeit sticky rice.
But it's not bad. Right, so it's the same kind of thing, right? There's always these imitations that are popping up. Some of them are legal. Imitation crab, garbage with a K.
Right, that's right. Crab with a K, so it's not crab. So you know it's not crab.
Yeah, thank you, California rolls.
With a K, so you know it's not actually California. Can I give you a quick etymological oddity that I don't think will make it into the pod here? But so Cortez credited with bringing it to Europe. So they called it vainilla, or little pod, which we talked about. But then the Philip Miller wrote about it in the Gardener's Dictionary, and it's the diminutive form of vaina from the Latin vagina, which of course means sheath, to describe the shape of the pods.
I mean, they're not entirely wrong, I guess. Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Sheath. Yep.
Language is so interesting.
That got us to vanilla.
Man, vanilla, it's weird. Unexpected. I'll give you that. You took me by surprise.
And a lot of the artificial vanilla, I think, is made out of wood. You could extract vanillin from, like, pine sap and stuff.
Oh, of course.
And so
why not?
That's what really makes the price fluctuate so much. It's like...
Well, I'll tell you, I went in a very different direction than you did. This is going to discuss a little bit about cursing.
Oh, great.
Yes. So I've always been very curious about why curse words exist, why they are considered curse words. Like, what's that about?
Yeah.
It's nuts, right?
Because they're just noises.
Exactly. So when you get into it, though, it actually becomes pretty interesting. And there are real reasons to why it is that way.
It's just going to turn out to be the South Park reason, where if you say a curse word too many times, the word's a curse.
So that
open a hell portal.
God, so it's kind of, not exactly.
Okay.
But you're not too far off. I'm gonna start off with a little etymology because I love etymology. The term profane, right? We use that for profanities. We're talking about when we're cursing. It originates from the classical Latin profanus, which literally means before or outside of the temple.
Oh, okay.
So it's carried this meaning of desecrating what is holy or with a secular purpose. And this is as early as the 1450s that we're using this term profanus in Latin.
Which is also about the same time we discovered vanilla.
Oh, so
we, of course, meaning Europe.
They're very close together.
we of course, meaning Europeans.
Yeah. So the profanity, it represented the secular indifference to religion or religious figures. And blasphemy was more of an offensive attack. So it's not this blasphemous talk, it's just more of this indifference to religion. It was often attack on religion, religious figures. This blasphemy is considered sinful, but it's got a very deep root in religion.
Okay.
So many Bible verses speak against swearing.
And so when we're talking about swearing right now, are we talking about the curse word? I would assume we're mostly not talking about the curse words of today. We're talking about like Lord's name in vain stuff.
Great, perfect. Exactly. Yes. So religious curses, generally, you're right. It was more words like God, anything that was talking bad about God, damn, hell, things like that, right? That were words very clearly associated with damnation. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the original. So the words that we're using today have a little bit of a different source. So your fuck, shit, bitch, things like that. Very interesting where they come from, though. And you'll note almost all of the English curse words are rooted in German. They're Germanic.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They're all...
You do not see very many Latin-based curse words from a Romance language.
So I guess are the only Latin-based ones? That's the hell, damn, and stuff, or is that German as well?
I'll get to it. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Right. Sorry.
I'm going to go through a couple of different words first, and we're not going to hit on all of them. Everybody considers different words their own curse words.
Don't you say but. Don't you say it.
Yeah, so I mean, in the interest of time, I only did a couple, but shit is a perfect example, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we use that one a lot. In fact, it's become very popular even appearing on television now, right, where you wouldn't see it too much before on your cable television. But it's an old English word, so it's very common. It actually comes from the word sight, which means dung, or diarrhea, or sighten to defecate. All makes sense, right?
Yeah, that lines up.
It all lines up, and it is Germanic, obviously. We're talking about a Germanic source word here, and it evolved into this Middle English shite and shiten, which is excrement and to defecate.
Wait, did shiten become shitting?
Yes, essentially, it did. It did, right?
Huh.
Yes, it's very interesting. So
Wild.
these are how these words just kind of evolved from an old English back in the day. And so according to the online etymology dictionary, it actually has been used to mean an obnoxious person since 1508 or so.
So would this be today? Would this be like if someone is being a shit?
Yes, you little shit.
Okay.
Don't be such a shit.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, 1508.
Wow, we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, and so to not give a shit, that's from the 1920s.
Okay.
Up shit creek without a paddle. This is
Right.
the 1930s. Shit list 40s, and then we got shit faced in the 60s.
Hey.
Which didn't most people. And then same shit different day was the 80s, right? So these are just a couple of different terms. And then we started adding bull onto it, bullshit to mean a falsehood. That actually is a French word, which is one of the rare instances you'll see something from a Latin-based language come into play. But it developed into the Middle English bull, meaning false or fraud, and that kind of came in. In fact, it's included in a T.S. Eliot poem that was titled The Triumph of Bullshit. So there's a little bit of history there on shit. That's a great word. I mean,
yeah.
I find myself using it almost once an hour.
Yeah, I've become pretty desensitized to shit.
Yeah, it's impossible for me not to say it. I try to catch myself now with a 3-year-old. I try not to say it around her too much, but honestly, I have no idea. Next one we get into here is fuck. Great word. I mean, oh my God, one of the best words in the English language.
So versatile.
Yeah, I use it a ton, but it's actually one of the hardest to trace. The problem is it was banned so early that you can't find it anywhere. And it doesn't really come back into prominence in written form until the 1960s for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah, but they do tend to agree that it is also Germanic.
Okay.
Verb from the word in German is ficken. And also in Dutch, falken means to breed.
Oh, okay. Well, that also would seem to line up.
Or beget, right?
Yeah.
And the Norwegians have the word fuka, which means to copulate.
Yep, that checks out.
And Swedish also have faka, which is to strike or to copulate, and fak, which means penis, as it turns out.
Okay, strike, copulate, and penis are not all the same word.
They're not,
but
we're getting very
those
close,
are very,
right?
very similar. And yeah.
And it didn't appear in an English dictionary until 1965 when they included it.
Huh.
Yet they're actually all the curse words for the most part are in the dictionary.
Certainly hope so.
Yes.
They're words. They couldn't be offensive if they weren't words. They would just be sounds said angrily.
We started I like that. It sounds said angrily. Yeah. 1916, fuck up came about. 1929, fuck off. And then 1960, fuck all. According to Slate, the first known instance of motherfucker was used in 1889 in a Texas trial.
Really?
So this is documented in the trial documentation.
What?
Where someone said, that goddamn motherfucking bastardly son of a bitch.
So they were swinging for the fences.
That is what the witness stated the defendant in the case was called.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then,
wow. So that came before fuck off.
It did. Huh. It did. At least for documentation purposes.
Right.
Remember, we're looking at thin documentation on this word. And World War II actually was really one of the driving forces in becoming widely adopted. Famously captured in a Kurt Vonnegut book, The Slaughterhouse-Five.
Oh, yeah.
Which uses fuck in every other line of dialogue.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's just constant. It's just being thrown around.
So there's those two military acronyms that I usually think.
FUBAR.
FUBAR and
Great.
snafu.
Oh, great.
Which are what fucked up beyond all recognition.
Yes.
FUBAR and situation normal, all fucked up.
Yes.
I don't know if those are real, but I associate them.
Absolutely.
With the Army.
100% they use those.
Yeah.
I guarantee it. So that's a great word. Don't want to spend too much time dwelling on it, but we'll move on to the next one here. Damn. Mm-hmm. So this is one, just like you mentioned, Latin-based, right?
Okay.
Again, because we're getting to more of a religious curse word. It's gone through a long line of evolution, though, starting with the Latin word damnum, which means damage, hurt, harm, loss, injury, things like that.
Okay.
And the verb damere, meaning to adjudge guilty, to doom, to condemn.
That sounds biblical.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like being damned.
Yes.
If you will. Old French picked it up as dame. A word is very similar. In fact, basically means the exact same thing. And then it made its way to Middle English as dampen.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't explain that one.
Huh.
It's gone through all those evolutions, but essentially it's Latin. It's very much rooted in the Bible. Very much the reason that it's a curse word is because when you are being damned, essentially your soul is being cast into hell. So people didn't like it when you went around saying that.
Because it was aggressive? Like if you were saying that, oh, you're going to be damned. Is that how you would use it? Like, damn you.
Yes.
Okay.
That right there is a curse. Like in your traditional curse sense, you are basically cursing that person to be damned in hell.
Oh, so it's like a hex or a jinx at that point.
Yes.
So it's like impolite, or is it?
It's considered impolite today.
It's definitely, yes.
At the time, it would have been considered vulgar.
Okay.
Shun-worthy.
Yeah.
And then the last word I'm going to go over is another very popular. It's asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Turns out, this is one of the few that Americans cannot take credit for inventing. Here.
Oh.
The word is a derivation of arsehole.
Okay.
Right? So Middle English, arsehole, involved into Old English, airsole, Latin, anus, combined with pyral, which means hole.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's very literal. Asshole can mean a contemptible person in the mid-1930s, and it's just very interesting. You hear arse a lot in more of your British English.
Yeah.
It was first used as a nautical slang.
Oh, okay. I also
Late
definitely
1800s.
think of like a Scottish or Irish folks saying it angrily, arse.
Arse. Same. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a little bit of the background. In everyday use, we'll see they're very popular. People curse nonstop, right? So an average of nearly 80 to 90 words that a person speaks each day is curse words. So that's 0.5 to 0.7% of the words that you say, which doesn't sound like a ton. But if you compare that to words that we use very frequently, which would be first person plural pronouns, we, us, our, those only make up 1%.
Wow.
So the average of 0.5 to 0.7% is actually a lot. And in some cases, we're looking all the way up to 3.4% of our language is cursing. Now, I don't think I'm that high, but I certainly am fitting into that right around 1%. I could see it.
Yeah, I definitely have to catch myself a lot, because I'll notice that when I do from scenario to scenario, or sort of group of folks to group of folks, depending when cursing is more or less acceptable.
Yeah.
You go and you visit your family, like your grandparents. All of a sudden, I should probably curse less. Is at least the thought that goes through my head. I should probably curse less.
It really does. It's almost just built into my mind. I don't even think about it.
Yeah, but then you go maybe go to Vegas or something, and you lose a hand. I don't think about it at all.
That's right. Shit footballs. Who cares?
Fucking duck.
Yeah, I agreed.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, as Americans, I thought we would be one of the top cursors, but it turns out Canadians swear more than Americans.
No way.
Canadians.
I would not have guessed that
Me
at
neither,
all.
right? Yes. The Canadians are some of the top English swears, of course, because we're really only talking about English swear words here. But they're some of the top, and more than Americans and the British.
That is surprising.
So this is a little bit more interesting fact. Keele University, they did this study with some researchers, Stevens, Atkins, Kingston. They found that swearing is directly linked to reducing the amount of pain felt when injured.
Really?
Yeah, so they're saying that if you hurt yourself, swear. That is the advice given, because there is a measurable difference, according to their study. It was so impactful, they won a Nobel Peace Prize in 2010 for this research. Which blew my mind.
So does
Damn.
Gosh, I mean, how do you even account for the virulence of the swearing? Like if
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if they do. I think as long as you consider it swearing.
Right.
But it's very interesting. And another thing that really gets me, they did some studies that even people that are going through bouts of dementia, or they're losing parts of their speech capabilities, sometimes still have the ability to recall and use swear words, even though they cannot use other forms of spoken communication.
Wow.
It's just, that's how deeply ingrained, for whatever reason, we're not 100% certain, but for whatever reason, that's how deeply ingrained it is. And that's why I get so interested in it, because, I mean, I could go on and on the topic, but it seems very frowned upon still in our society, especially in this country. But it has such a wide range of use, and also it's like, why do we get to this point where a group of people has decided what the rest of us can't say? And it goes all the way back to the 11th century.
The 11th century. That's before vanilla, for those of you who've been following along.
So the Normans, when they came over there for their conquest of the Saxons in the 11th century, they invaded what's now the UK. And they brought with them their language, right? And so as they came in, they were basically taking over the peoples that lived there. And their language stemmed from French, which is a Romance language, right? Mm-hmm. But the Saxons were talking to each other in a Germanic language.
Okay.
As a result, the words with Romantic roots were regarded by the upper class as good words, while the Germanic words were considered bad words.
Huh.
Right? This ancient class warfare developed where people of a higher society were using the Romantic language versions, Latin-based, of these words. And so that's why you'll see fuck, right? It's a Dutch and Swedish word, which means breed or engage. We mentioned this earlier. But those are both Germanic-based languages. And so that word became a bad word. Well, copulate, which is a Latin-based word, means the exact same thing. But the Normans let that word become the word that was being used for sex, for fornication. And so that's like the OG reason.
Wow.
So basically it's elitist class warfare that has led to this difference in words. And it's amazing because it still exists.
And but it is funny to think about me stubbing my toe and shouting, copulate.
Right. And it's just not, it's not even that, it's just not a good word.
Doesn't really land the same.
Yeah. And copulate really, that's it, right? It's a verb.
Right. It has no barbs in it.
It's got nothing. Fuck is everything. I mean, you can fuck, you can get fucked, you can be fucked.
Yeah, you can tell someone to fuck off. You can fuck right off.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a versatile word.
Someone can be a fuck up.
Yes, and it's amazing because everybody knows what it all means.
Yeah,
for the most part. But then copulate or sex. Those are just other words that mean exact same things, but they're okay.
Yeah, all of a sudden, if you try to exchange them, they'd be like, "Oh, you're such a sex up." Doesn't really. That's
right.
Yeah.
I guess you could go with mess up. You're
true.
Mess up or something.
That's true.
But yeah, it's pretty interesting. And so that's really kind of the bulk of what I wanted to get into. I mean, I can go on several tangents. One is I really can't stand censorship of words, and so the FCC really bugs me. They're like, "Oh, you can't see these words on the radio. Oh, they're so bad," which is a perpetual cycle, right? So we've taken these words that really have no power except for what we give them.
Right. And we give them a bunch of power.
We're continuing. We continue to give these words this power when, in fact, we can say the exact same thing with different words, and it's acceptable.
Yeah. Would they still be fun if they were allowed?
No.
I remember I was reading something that actually recommended in certain social scenarios cursing first because it's a way to indicate that you're comfortable. It's like a social indicator of comfort because it's not allowed. But if you do it confidently, then all of a sudden, this person feels comfortable enough.
It's not a bad idea.
To swear. Yeah.
I've also heard that it's a sign of intelligence.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, by the amount I swear, I must be a Mensa student.
I'm probably a fucking genius.
Fucking genius. It's funny. It also has terminology in there. There's a term in improv comedy where some folks will turn to swearing as a crutch because sometimes it's shocking and funny.
Ah, yes.
And that's what's referred to as going blue.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what the history of that is, but when you were talking about it being allowed or not allowed, it's like, because when you go blue, that's a downside. It's like, you couldn't think of anything compelling to say, so you're trying to shock everybody into giggling.
It all comes back to intent, right? The words we say are meaningless without the intent behind them.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could say the meanest things to people and not drop a single curse word.
Right. Because it's the toxicity.
It's
the delivery.
The intent. So just like what you're mentioning, right? People, they don't know what to say, so they go for shock value.
It's funny when I think about people who I think use cursing effectively. Is Tenacious D.
Great. Yep.
I feel like Jack Black and Kyle Gass. The joke isn't that they're saying curse words; they just use it for emphasis. Or I feel like it's a deployment of the words, as opposed to a leaning on the words.
Yeah, absolutely. It's have you ever seen the film A Christmas Story?
Yes. Oh, fudge.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. But there's a quote in there, and I'm gonna mess it up, but where the kid is talking about his dad, and he says his dad is like a Picasso when it comes to cursing, that he weaves this glorious tapestry of curse words, like one of the famous artists, and I think it's hysterical, and that's my goal.
Yeah, to be an artist, to paint a verbal picture.
Exactly, in the most obscene way possible.
So I wonder if we also, because you talked about the history of bullshit, and I've been hearing more frequently horse shit as well, which I just assumed was like, bullshit's too common.
Yeah, I want
to say horse shit instead. But then when I hear dog shit, I feel like it's because something smells or tastes bad. I usually think of horse shit as a falsehood, bullshit as a falsehood, dog shit as something looking or being bad.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
I don't know.
As you guys can tell, there's a lot more depth to be mined here from this.
There's a lot of shit there.
But I'll say it's so funny thinking about the vanilla, and it brings me back to the vanilla curse words.
Yeah.
Right.
Crap.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. So when you're a kid, right, and there's the vanilla variety of cursing, I definitely got in trouble for saying things like butt.
Yeah.
Which is not at all a curse word, but for somehow in school it is. But it's like a vanilla.
Yeah, because maybe you've referred to someone as a butthead.
Yes.
Right, because you're in elementary school and you're upset for some reason, and you don't quite yet have access to all of the fun words.
Yes, exactly. What was the one that you just had?
Crap.
Crap. Yeah, perfect example. Actually, that one is like borderline. Some people would consider that a real curse word.
Yeah, and then you hear people substitute crap in, like, oh, that's bull crap.
Yes. Again, that's the same fucking thing where.
Yeah. And the intent is there.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly.
Everyone knows what you mean.
Or dang.
Dang.
It.
Or darn.
Yes, I'm so sick of the vanilla curse words, okay? And I say them, I'll be honest with you, I'm super guilty. I have a child, and so I'm around her.
Right.
Yes, they come out. And only because I don't have a problem with her cursing, but I don't want her to be expelled from school.
Right. It is still, there's still social situations where it's tough to get.
Yeah, exactly. So no cursing. Absolutely. I don't want her, because I'll tell you, you can tell her to say please or thank you about 800 times and she won't utter the words once. And you say motherfucker and she, like, you're 15 feet away and you whisper it and that's all she says for an hour.
For an hour. She's singing it, like,
Yeah,
dancing
I mean,
around
God.
to the tune of Let It Go.
Yeah, this has happened to me, and I've been in some serious trouble. Ooh, or shut the fuck up, I definitely have said in my house.
Yeah. Yeah, being darned to heck doesn't really carry quite the weight as being damned to hell.
You're right, but shit, bro, if you said that back in like the 1500s, you'd probably be lit on fire for being a witch.
Wait a minute, what are you doing, what are you doing darning people for 15 minutes? to heck. To the bowels of heck.
The very bowels.
To the lowest levels of the deepest corners of heck.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Once you started talking about the hand pollination of the sheath that is vanilla.
Right.
I mean, I feel like you could go so many different ways with cursing at that point. Probably into some words that I won't get into here. But I mean, I feel like it could have gone a really cursy way. I mean, God, what, hand fucking the flowers?
Right, that's what you're doing.
You
You're
are
hand copulating.
I mean, you basically are. Yeah. I don't think masturbating is really a curse word, but I mean you're kind of masturbating a flower into itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Just really giving that flower a hand.
Yeah, a little handy.
A little handy.
Yeah, exactly.
But only when it's ready, because you can't force it before it's ready. You have to wait, and then the flower will bloom, and it's like, okay, now is the time. Now I'm going to help this flower.
That's exactly right. You have to have a healthy relationship with these flowers.
Yeah, you have to know them.
You've got to get consent first. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Consent is the presence of a yes, not the absence of a no.
That's exactly right. You have to get a yes.
You have to get a yes.
If you don't get a yes, you've done it wrong.
For vanilla husbandry, and in all things.
Yeah, in all things, vanilla or otherwise.
Vanilla or otherwise.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Vanilla is just a plant, and it's, for the Spanish word for, like, little pod. And it has taken on this slang context of uninteresting, boring, or basic.
Yeah.
Whereas curse words have been words that describe bodily functions for always.
The line is so hard to draw for what actually is a curse word or an expletive. Because we've got some new words all the time.
Mm-hmm. So I was asking some folks about a relatively recent, well, I say relatively recent, it's several years old at this point, but fuckboy was one.
Fuckboy.
Yeah. And so I asked several different people, but I think my favorite definition actually came from Killer Mike.
Okay, yeah.
If you're familiar with Run
Yes.
the Jewels' Killer Mike. To just give you a sense of how popular he is in Atlanta, we have a giant tunnel drilling machine, and its name is Driller Mike by virtue of an online poll. And his reply was, I fucking love Atlanta, which is a use of profanity for positive. He's trying to. So when asked, Killer Mike, what is a fuckboy? He said, you can always tell a fuckboy because fuckboys are always doing fuck shit. And so, was it particularly illuminating? No. But he sounded right.
Instantly quotable, though.
Oh, yeah.
They're always doing fuck shit.
Yeah.
Don't know what that means. In fact, I thought I knew what a fuckboy was until this moment.
From what I gather, it just means someone who is irresponsible or not dependable. Seems to be
Is that what that is?
maybe.
Okay.
I would not describe myself as an authority. Oh, and also someone who's doing fuck shit all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean...
An irresponsible, not dependable person doing fuck shit all the time.
Yeah, fuck shit. Is that like nothing? What is the translation of fuck shit? Fuck all? You know, like he does absolutely fuck all.
Oh, he does. All he does is fuck around all day.
Yeah.
Which I guess that gets downgraded to fart around. Fart around all day?
I don't know. Mess around again.
Just mess around again?
Yeah.
Boy, if we didn't have mess, how would we say anything?
We'd have to say fuck a lot more,
I guess we said a lot more.
I find myself saying it in professional settings on occasion. And
we really messed this up. But everyone knows what you're thinking.
Yeah, this is fucked up, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fucked to the A.
Yeah.
Foobar, real bad.
Yeah.
And I've said that enough times at work, you know. Usually, like you were saying, the comfortable sign when you're cursing with your team or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
It is weird how it's all kind of, like, at least all the words that we've talked about so far, they're all just bodily functions from below, like, just below the belt bodily functions. Which, because we were talking about how words are just noises with intent behind them.
Yes.
I believe it was it poet laureate Mr. Rogers who wrote a book entitled Everybody Poops?
I don't know. I did not know that Mr. Rogers wrote that.
I don't quote me on that. I don't remember if he's the original author, but
but yeah, somebody did write that book.
Yeah,
and I hear it's a classic.
So, what out of everything that you learned about curse words and its history, what was one of your favorite nuggets?
Well, my favorite nugget is going to have to be theory. I'm going to call it a theory because I don't know that anything from this long ago can be considered fact anymore. But of how we had an invading force coming in that was making their words from their romantic languages, French in this case, the good words, and the Germanic-based words, the bad words, and how that potentially is stuck for centuries.
Yeah, you said 1100, right? So
11, 12,
1200,
yeah.
So 800-ish years.
It's insane, right?
That's insane.
I mean, almost nothing lasts that long.
No.
What about yourself?
My favorite nugget from cursing was definitely that cursing after you injure yourself is a noticeable reduction in pain.
Isn't that insane?
That's so funny. Because I mean, I do it. You know, I'll stub my toe, and I've noticed that when I have to censor myself, that just requires more attention and willpower.
It does.
And I'd never put those two together. That if I just let it all hang out, I would feel better. I would physically feel better. I would feel measurably better.
Measurably. Yeah, that's a good word for it.
What vanilla factoid surprised you over the course of the?
Well, that it's not a bean. It really ruined my life.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can sleep at night anymore.
It changed my whole plan of today.
Yeah, it's weird. Honestly, I hate it when you there's such a key piece of your really core belief.
Vanilla
is
bean
shattered.
ice cream.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like, oh, vanilla bean ice cream. It must be Haagen-Dazs or something pretentious.
It takes me back to when I learned that a tomato was a fruit. You know?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
No, there's no way. It's a vegetable.
Yeah, exactly. Don't even get me started. Or like a strawberry's not a berry.
Wait, what?
Yeah, just like we could go down some really deep roads here.
Words. English is such a fist fight of a language.
It really is. I'm pretty sure that potatoes and sweet potatoes aren't related. I mean, it just goes on and on.
And what's a yam?
What the fuck is a yam?
What is a yam? I think the thing about vanilla that surprised me the most would probably be that there was a time when it cost $500 a kilogram.
Wasn't that last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, so recently. $500 a kilogram in 2017.
So have you ever bought vanilla?
Have I don't know now.
Okay.
Apparently the counterfeit, or not, I say counterfeit, the like chemically produced vanilla is difficult for lay people like me, for fuck-ups like me, to even discern.
Well, I'll tell you, it's expensive. And when you go buy like beans, pods, it is fucking expensive. And nothing will make me curse like a recipe that calls for some fresh fucking vanilla.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's like a $10 investment right there just for the vanilla.
At least it's not saffron, am I right?
Hey!
Oh!
All right, fair enough. Well, I guess, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening, and we will see y'all next time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Peace.